Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are going to learn more about historical recount text with Mrs. Rina Agustina. Let's check it out.
Well, today we are going to learn historical recount text with me, Mrs. Rina Agustina. Okay, it is the definition. I would like to tell you that a recount text is a text that retells past events, usually in a chronological order. Based on the definition here, we know that the recount text, it is a kind of text in English, in a genre of English text that retells past events. Of course, it is when we talk about historical recount text, this kind of text tells about the history term that happens, of course, in the past. So that's why we call it historical recount text. And then based on the definition here, clearly enough for us that the events usually give in chronological order. Do you know what chronological order means? You are right. It means the event gives in order based on the time, which one come first, which one happened first, which one the second happened, and then next after that, something like that. Okay, based on the definition here, we understand now that the recount text is a kind of text that retells past events, usually in chronological order. Okay, well, on the second slide, we talk about the purpose of the recount text. The purpose of recount text, it is to describe what occurred and when it occurred, and also to inform its audience about historical events. In historical recount text, we will know what happened, what occurred in the past, and then when, and then we get also the information about historical events that of course happens in the past. Next, the structure of historical recount text. There are three kinds or three parts of the generic structure of historical recount text. They are called orientation, events, and reorientation. Okay, let's see one by one. Orientation. It involves the background of the event, describe the people involved, settings, and cause of event. So remember, in orientation, we have to write the background of the event, the background of the history event that happened in the past. We describe the people involved in the event, and then where is the setting of place, and setting of time, of course, and cause of the event. While we continue to the second part of historical recount text, it is called events or series of events. In series of events, it is record the events chronologically. We remember based on the definition, that historical recount text gives in chronological order. So we have to record the events one by one based on the chronological happened. And the last is reorientation. In reorientation, the writer includes their feelings, and their thought of the writer about the event. So we have as a writer, or we as a speaker in historical recount text, well, we'll continue to events. Events here as the second part of structure of historical recount text. It is records the events chronologically. So remember, based on the definition just now, we remember that historical recount text tells in chronological or in order. So we have to tell the events in order based on which one happened first, and then second, and then after that until the last, something like that. And the last of the structure of this text is called reorientation. Reorientation includes the feeling and the thought of the writer about the event. So what does it mean here? When we are the writer of historical recount, so we have to write our feeling or our thought about the event that is given. While when we talk about it as a speaker of historical recount, so we have to say something related to our feeling or our thought about the event. And the language feature of historical recount texts are, of course, in recount text or historical recount text use past tense. Do you know why? I'm sure you know why. Because all thing, all happen, all activity, all even described in historical recount text happen in the past. So that's why we have to use past tense. Remember, in past tense we have to use verb to. Action or situation happened in the past. And then not only past tense, but also the language feature of historical recount text, we use time connective. Time connectives here to show chronological order. When something happened, or for example, as Suharto proclaimed the independence, as Soekarno proclaimed the independence, it is as blah blah blah, it is called time connective. So we have to use time connective to connect one from one phrase to the other phrase, for one clause to the other clause. And then conjunction, we use also conjunction here to link words, phrases, and clauses. For example, but, and, or. It is a kind of example of conjunction. We use it also in historical recount text. And then don't forget to remember or to give attention to capitalization. Like if you want to write the name of someone, so we have to use capital letters. For example, you want to write Soekarno, so Soekarno's name must be given the capital letter on the first letter, S, something like that. Or the name of town, Bandung, for example. So we have to use capital letter in writing Bandung, for the letter B on the beginning of that city, Bandung. It is the example. And then punctuation. Punctuation here, it is a kind of punctuate symbol that is used in the writing or in the essay, like comma, full stop, colon, semicolon, something like that. So remember. So the language features of historical recount text are simple past tense, time connectives, conjunction, capitalization, and punctuation. So we have to remember all that. And then it is the kind of example of the text, historical recount text. It is a kind of example of the historical recount text. The title is Reformation of Indonesia. Okay, let's see the text. There are 5 paragraphs in this text, and then on the beginning of the text, the writer gives orientation here on the first paragraph. Do you know that in orientation, the writer will gives the background of the event? The background of the Reformation of Indonesia, it is clearly described in the first paragraph here that for more than 30 years, Indonesia was governed by Suharto as the president after the era of Sukarno, as the people started to feel injustice. So that's why the event happened. Reformation of Indonesia happened because of the people started to feel injustice. It is the background of the event. And then also in orientation, the writer will introduce us to the people involved in the Reformation of Indonesia. Something like this here, Suharto as the president after Sukarno. It is to introduce the people involved, and then also the time for more than 30 years, something. It is a kind of introducing the setting. And also the cause of reformation. It is given in the first paragraph. It is called orientation. And in the second paragraph, we go to events. It is events of Reformation of Indonesia. On the second paragraph, the writer gives the information that the government became unstable and struggled as monetary crisis in Asia in the second half of 1997. So it is a kind of information. The first occasion happened when the Reformation of Indonesia happened in Indonesia, of course. The government became unstable, and then after that happened, monetary crisis happens, and Suharto couldn't maintain his position as president, and then demonstrations were held everywhere, and it became the peak with the Sakti incident on 12 May 1998. It is the chronological order. The writer put the event in the past related to history of Indonesia, Reformation of Indonesia, in order. The first is the government became unstable and struggled as monetary crisis, and then the monetary crisis, Suharto couldn't maintain his position, and then demonstrations were held everywhere. It is the series of events, and after that, the last, it is called reorientation. In reorientation, the writer will give the feeling or their thought about the event in the past. Like here, finally, it is something that the writer feels about the Reformation of Indonesia. The writer write like this: finally, Suharto was pushed to step down, and Reformation era began in Indonesia. It is a kind of reorientation. Okay, and then based on the language feature also here, most of sentences here use simple past tense. For example, this one: for more than 30 years, Indonesia was governed. It is a kind of past tense, past tense in passive. As the people studied. Look here, studied. It is a kind of example of simple past tense. Also use past verb to. Use verb to. Something like. And most of sentences here, look. Most of them use past tense. And here Suharto didn't do anything. Do you remember? It is a kind of past tense, right? Yeah, didn't do. Yeah, it is a kind of past tense in negative sentence of past tense. So we conclude that most of sentences in historical recount text use past tense. And also, we have to use connective, time connective, like here during the monetary crisis. During here, it is a kind of connective, yeah, connective to give the information to next sentence here. Suharto could maintain his position as president when he was re-elected on March 1998. Yeah, it is a kind of time connective. And the example here to give us the example of what is it, like here as the demonstration, yeah, the government became unstable and struggle as monetary crisis hit Asia. It is a kind of also time connective, yeah. In here it is a kind of example of time connective. And also we have to use capitalization and punctuation well in the text, like Suharto here written as here, use capital letter, yeah. And then because Suharto, it is the name of someone, yeah. And President Sukarno also use capital letter here, yeah. The government, because it is the first sentence, so we have in the paragraph, so we have to use the first sentence, we have to use capital letter. And then don't forget to use comma like this, yeah, comma, however, comma, and then full stop like this, yeah, full stop. And then however, here it is the example of what is it, conjunction, like we have talked just now. Conjunction, it is to relate, to connect from one sentence to the other sentence, to one phrase to the other phrase, like here, however, yeah, and but, and so on. Okay. And then the last, there is the word finally. Finally, it is also the connective, yeah, time connective, yeah, a kind of time connective to show what is it, the chronological order, yeah, even in chronological, I mean. Well, it is a timeline of a historical recount text that we have talked on the previous slide. It is Reformation of Indonesia. I put in timeline, so each of student also have to try to put the event that I would like to give you later, the historical recount text, of course, in timeline like this. What is timeline? Timeline, it is line, garis that show the time when each of the event happens, like here, which one the first happened, which one the second, the third, the last, something like this, yeah. It is the example of timeline history of Reformation of Indonesia. I think we have talked about it just now, yeah. While here we have to give the information to support the event, yeah. And then on the beginning of each line, so you have to put the time, yeah. The time must be put in order, of course, yeah, in timeline. It is a kind of proverb. Thank you so much for your attention. Remember, opportunity didn't knock until I built the door, yeah. Thanks for watching.